Most professionals spend 40 hours a week being excellent at their jobs. But when it comes to packaging that same expertise into an offer they can sell, they freeze. Now, I am not talking about I don't know what I'm doing kind of freeze. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about I have 17 half-finished Google Docs with different pricing structures, and I have changed my offer 3 times this month. That kind of freeze is what I'm talking about. But here's what blows my mind. And this is what we are going to fix today in this video. The problem isn't that you don't know enough. The problem is you're trying to build a record ship when all you need is a bicycle. Now stay with me. See, when I first started helping professionals monetize their expertise, I made the very same mistake you're probably making right now. I thought more was better. I thought if I could just add one more module. I thought if I just include this bonus and that bonus, if I could just create this additional tier. And you know what happened? Nothing. People got more confused, not more excited, more confused. No, it was like walking into this cheesecake factory and seeing they have like 20 pages of menu. You know what you'll do when you see that menu? You order the same thing you always order before. Why? Because making decision is exhausting. But then I discovered something. I discovered that professionals making 6 figures from their expertise, the ones who had corporate jobs on Monday and consulting clients, paying them $5,000 by Friday, those kind of professionals, they weren't using complex offer structures. That's not the case. They were not using those kind of structures. They were using what I call now the 2-phase offer builder. And that's what I'm breaking down for you today in this very video. Now, before we dive into, let me explain to you why this works. Over the past decade, I have worked with hundreds of professionals. I'm talking about HR executives, supply chain managers, finance experts, IT specialists, people who are absolute wizards in their corporate roles, but had no idea how to turn that into an independent income stream. I have had the privilege to work with those kind of people. And here is what I have discovered. The complexity of your offer is inversely proportional to the speed of your results. This is huge. And because I want that to sink in. And then the simpler your offer, the faster you make money. The more complex your offer, the longer you stay broke. This is the unfortunate bit. So it's not because complex offers don't work. They do, but they don't work for busy professionals who have 8 hours a week to build a side business. They work for people who can dedicate 40 hours a week to perfecting their offer ecosystem. They work for those kind of people. But you see, you don't have 40 hours. You have 8, maybe 10 hours if you're really pushing it hard. So we need a structure that works with your schedule, not against it. So here is what we are covering today in this very video. First, I am showing you the exact 2-phase structure that lets you package what you already know, your expertise, in under a week, not a month, under a week. Second, I'm revealing why most professionals overcomplicate their offers and how can you avoid that trap. That's number 2. Number 3, I'm giving you the psychological principle that makes this structure convert better than the fancy 4-5 tier value ladders everybody's obsessed with right now. And finally, I'm walking you through a real example so that you can see exactly how this plays out in the real world. But here is the deal. If you're someone who thinks you need a course with 47 modules and a Facebook group community and then private podcast and a quarterly mastermind just to get started, this video is not for you. I'll be very honest, not to waste your time. This is for professionals who want to start generating income now, not after 8 months of building the entire ecosystem, kind of thing. So if that is fair, then let's go. All right. So let's talk about why most professionals struggle to create an offer. And it's not what you think. You see, in your corporate job, you are rewarded for thoroughness. Think about it. The more comprehensive your report, the better. The more detailed your analysis, the more credible you look. I'm talking about the more boxes you check, the more promotions you get. That is how the corporate world works. But in the world of monetizing your expertise, the same thoroughness becomes your enemy. This is huge, and I pray you understand it. Because, you start thinking, well, if I'm going to help someone with, say, financial planning, then what do I need? You begin to think, I need to cover budgeting and investing, and then tax strategy, and then insurance, and then retirement, and all this and. Now I want you to stop. I want you to stop that. You are not building a university degree. You're building an offer. The two are different. There is a very clear and big difference between the two. An offer solves a specific problem, and a good offer solves it fast. Actually, a great offer makes it so simple that your client can't help but say yes. So that's an offer. Now, but here's the thing, and this is where most people mess up. You don't need to solve every problem they have. You just need to solve the problem that's keeping them awake at 2 a.m. That is the problem you need to solve. Remember, confused people don't buy. Overwhelmed people don't buy. People who are trying to figure out which of your 12 packages is right for them, they don't buy. So what do they buy? It's a good question. What do they buy? They buy clarity. They buy speed. They buy certainty. That is what they buy. And that's exactly what the two-phase of a builder gives them. Clarity, speed. That is what it gives them. All right, so here's it. The simplest offer structure that actually works for busy professionals. Here it is. It has simply two phases. Not 8, not 5 tiers, 2 phases. Not a value ladder with 17 steps, simply 2 phases. Phase 1, I call it the problem solution package. This is where you take one specific problem your ideal client is facing and you package your solution into a 4 to 8 week program. Not a course, a program. Now, at this point, I think it's important for us to understand what is the difference. Now, a course is information. A program is transformation. The two are different. So let me give you an example. Let's say you are an HR professional and you've spent 15 years helping companies retain their top talent. 15 years doing that. So a course would be the complete guide to employee retention. Maybe the 47 strategy for reducing turnover. That is a course. A program or an offer would be the 6 weeks retention reset. How to reduce turnover by 30% without increasing salary. You see the difference? They are very, very different. One is about what you know. The other is about what your clients get. The two are very different. What you know, that goes in a course. What your clients get, that goes in an offer. Now, here's the beautiful part. Phase 1 doesn't need to be complicated. Remember that. It doesn't need to be complicated. You need one clear outcome. The transformation, the buy. That is what you need. And then you also need one clear process, which is your unique method for getting them there. Because if this is the result, then what's the method? Then one clear timeline, so they know when they will get results. So that is it. No bonus, no upsells, no but wait, there is more. Simply that. So just one powerful promise delivered through one proven process. That is what you need. Now I know some of you are thinking, but Richard, what about everything else I know? Where do I put it? What about all my expertise? That is where phase 2 comes in. But before I even show you that, I need you to understand something very, very critical. So, phase 2, I would call it the ascension offer. So once someone goes through phase 1 and gets result, and this is key, they have to get results first. Then and only then do you introduce phase 2. So phase 2 is where you take them deeper. Maybe it's an ongoing consulting. Maybe it's a mastermind. Maybe it's done for you implementation. But here's the genius of the whole structure that makes it very powerful. You don't build phase 2 until phase 1 is working. Let me repeat that again. Don't build phase 2 until phase 1 is working. I hope you hear me. Don't build phase 2 until phase 1 is working. Because here's what happens. When you build everything at once, you can spend 6 to 10 months building out your offer, especially the offer ecosystem, and you make $0. But when you use the two-phase offer builder, you can have phase 1 sold and then delivered within 30 days. And then you build phase 2 based on what your actual paying clients tell you they need next. That is how you build phase 2. So let me tell you something. And this is quite amazing. Your phase 2 clients, the ones who pay you the most, they come from phase 1. Yes, they come from phase 1. Not from Facebook ads, not from fancy funnels, but from phase 1. Because once someone experiences the transformation you deliver in phase 1, they become a believer. And believers don't need to be convinced to ascend. They ask, what's next? That is what believers do. So that is when now you know that what you have built is an engine that works, that you built something special. Now, let me tell you why this structure works so well, psychologically. What's the psychology behind this structure? So it's based on this principle I call progressive commitment. Progressive commitment. See, when you ask someone to commit to your grand comprehensive program right out of the gate, you are asking them to make a massive decision with zero proof that you can deliver. Think about it. It's like asking someone to marry you on the first date. I mean, you might think that you're charming, but that may not work. That may not work. But when you use the two-phase structure, you are saying, hey, let me solve this one problem first for you. First. So let me solve this one problem first. And if I do that well, we can talk about what's next. See, that is different. That's manageable. That's believable. That's viable. Let's handle this problem. First, we solve it. Then, once we've solved, we can then jump into the next thing. So let me give you a real example from one of my clients. Rose is a CPA with 18 years of experience in financial systems for NGOs. Brilliant woman. So when she came to me, she was trying to develop out this program, maybe 12 months of financial transformation program that would maybe cost $15,000, those kind of things. But nobody's buying that. Not because the offer wasn't valuable. It was incredibly valuable. 12 months of all this kind of thing. But because the decision was too big and the outcome was too far away. So what did we do? We rebuilt her offer using the two-phase structure. Phase 1 is the Financial Reporting Clarity Insight program. Less than 4 weeks intensive focused on one problem, helping non-profit leaders understand what blocks clean, accurate, donor-ready reporting. And the price, over $3,000. Now, within days, she was having conversation with clients. Within 90 days, a number of clients asked ongoing support. So you can see that now that is where the phase 2, which is the annual financial advisory retainer, I think maybe I'm not sure of our figures, but that's where it makes sense. So if you can do the math of the revenue from an offer that took her 1 week to create and maybe 6 weeks to deliver. And here is the kicker. She built phase 2 based on what her phase 1 clients actually needed. not what she thought they needed. So that's the power of this structure. That's the power of what I'm communicating to you. All right, so let's make it practical. All right, let's make it practical. Here's how you build your phase one offer this week, not the next week, this week. Step one, identify the one problem. Ask yourself, what is the single most painful, urgent problem my ideal client is facing right now? Not the biggest problem, not the most comprehensive problem, the most urgent problem, the one that's costing them money, keeping them up at night, or threatening their job security. Which one is that? Number one, which is step number one. Step number two, name your process. So your phase one offer needs a name that communicates both the problem and the solution. So I wanted to use this formula. The time frame, and then outcome, and then how to achieve results without common objections. Let me give you an example. The 8-week revenue reset. How to add $50,000 in annual income without hiring more staff. Maybe the 30-day retention fix. How to cut turnover by 20% without increasing salaries. Something of that kind. That's step number two. Step number three, structure your delivery. You need 4 to 8 sections over 4 to 8 weeks. That's it. You don't need anything more than that. And then each section should move them closer to the transformation. So each section should include teaching, maybe of 20 minutes, application, 30 minutes, Q&A, 10 minutes, something of that kind. And then step number 4 is price it properly. So for phase one, you want to price between 1,000 maybe to 8,000, depending on your niche and outcome. But somewhere, this is high enough to attract serious clients, but also low enough that the decision doesn't require 6 months of deliberation. So that is where you want to be able to look at. So step number 5, sell it simply. Sell it simply, not in a complicated way. You don't need a fancy funnel. You simply need a clear conversation. A clear conversation. So book a call, present the problem, present your process, ask if they're ready to start. That is it. This is the problem, this is the process, are you ready to start? That is as simple as that. And so here's the beautiful part. See, you can do all this without quitting your job. You can deliver phase one in the evenings and weekends. This is very simple. You can serve 3 to 5 clients at a time and generate maybe $12,000, maybe $15,000 every 6 weeks. This is what I'm talking about. While still keeping your job security, while still getting your benefits, while still building proof that this works before you go all in. This is the process. Look, I know there are people out there teaching you to build elaborate offer ecosystems with 17 different products and automated funnels and membership sites and all this kind of thing. And maybe that works for them. I'm not saying this works for everybody. Maybe that works for them. But for busy professionals who are just getting started, who have limited time and need results as quickly as possible, the 2-phase offer builder is your path. It is your path. Because here's what I've learned after more than a decade of doing this. Your offer doesn't need to be perfect. It needs just to be clear, deliverable, and valuable. That is what your offer needs. And the 2-phase structure gives you all the 3. So here is my challenge to you. This week, pick one problem that you can solve, one process that you can teach, one outcome that you can deliver in 4 to 8 weeks. Pick up one and then write it down, name it, and price it. And then go find one person who needs that transformation and make them an offer. One person who needs the transformation and make them an offer. That is how you start. Not with a perfect ecosystem, but with one problem, one solution, one client. Now here's the magic. When that client gets results and now asks, what's next? That's when you build phase 2. Not before, but after. Because the best offers aren't built in isolation. They are built in response to real people getting real results. That's how they are built. So if you found this valuable, drop a comment below and let me know what's the one problem you're going to solve in your phase 1 offer. What's that problem? I'm telling you, give you my word, I'll read every comment and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. But if you want help building this out, not just learning about it, but actually implementing it, I have created a live workshop that walks you through the exact 2-phase offer builder framework, step by step. The link is in the description. You can check it out and join me Tuesday in the evening, and then I show you step by step, holding your hand. You'll ask me all questions. So really, my point is, let's turn your expertise into income. Not someday, do it this week. I am Richard Olo, and I will see you in the next video.